This man was named Jose. He was born in the Amazon. He knew the jungle sounds, its smells, its signs. He knew how to heal every conceivable ailment with saps and boiled barks of trees, roots, leaves. He climbed vines like a monkey, hunted every evening with a blowgun and darts laced with the venom of poisonous frogs. Jose could operate from sound and smell alone, freezing in the dark forest, listening, then shooting his dart into the dusky woods and hitting his mark for his family's dinner. He was one of the rare ones who ventured into the forest alone. On these evenings, he wore a mask on his head, eyes pointing backwards, so the cats would not ambush him from behind. His only weapon was his small blowgun and a machete he apparently wielded like a samurai. One night Jose was moving through the forest, darkness closing in, on the way home with a small capybara strapped to his back. Suddenly, his skin prickled. He stopped, listened, heard the deep rumble of a cat. He smelled the animal, knew it was near. He felt for his blowgun, but it had been a long night hunting and there were no darts left. Jose was standing next to a giant sumaumera tree, which are often used by Amazonians for communicating over long distances in the jungle. Immediately, Jose took his machete and swung it back and forth in a blur, clanging against the tree's magnificent, exposed root and sending a pounding call for help through the darkness. These vibrations can be heard over a mile away. Hopefully his son would be listening. Then Jose stood in silence, waiting. He smelled the cat. It was close. A few moments later, a large black jaguar, Onza Negra, over 200 pounds, glided down from a tree 20 feet ahead of him and started moving in. Jose remembered the glowing yellow eyes, as though a demon were coming for him. He knew if he ran, the cat would be on him instantly. He tossed his night's catch forward onto the forest floor, then held his machete and stood his ground, moving his weapon rhythmically, preparing for the fight of his life. The cat walked straight toward him, and then changed course about 8 feet away. It started pacing, back and forth, keeping distance, but never taking its eyes off Jose. It watched the machete, followed its movements. At first, the jaguar's pacing felt good. Jose thought that maybe it was indecisive, considering the dead rodent. The minutes passed. Jose's arm got tired from swaying. He watched the rippling muscles of the cat's legs, imagined them hurling the beast on top of him. There would be only one chance. When the cat came, he would need to dodge and strike in a blur. He would have to get to the neck or take off a limb and somehow roll away from the razor claws. It would all happen in an instant. But the waiting was eating him up inside. His whole being was on edge, poised for battle, exploding while the cat paced, languid, easy, yellow eyes glowing, edging closer, now 7 feet away, now 6 feet. After 10 minutes, the tension was unbearable. Jose was drenched in sweat. His right arm shook from the weight of the machete. He switched hands, felt the weapon in his left, hoped the cat didn't notice the new awkwardness for a minute or so while he recovered. He felt dreamy, as if the cat were hypnotizing him. Fear overwhelmed him. This man of the jungle was falling apart. After 15 minutes, the cat started moving faster. It edged in, coiled, watched the machete move, then turned back to pacing. It looked for openings, felt the timing of the weapon. Jose was all strung out. His nerves were frayed. The yellow eyes were taking him over. His body shook. Jose started sobbing. He backed away from the cat, and this was a mistake. The jaguar moved in. Straight in. It showed its teeth, crouched to leap. Jose had no fight left. He gave himself up, and there was a crack through the night. Then shouting, the cat turned. Another crack rang out, and then 2 young men ran through the bush, screaming. Jose's son took aim with his gun, but the cat vanished into the darkness, leaving a father weeping on the jungle floor. 3 years later, Jose still hadn't recovered from this encounter. The villagers say he went mad. His spirit was broken. In every discipline, the ability to be clear-headed, present, cool under fire is much of what separates the best from the mediocre. In competition, the dynamic is often painfully transparent. If one player is serenely present while the other is being ripped apart by internal issues, the outcome is already clear. The prey is no longer objective, makes compounding mistakes, and the predator moves in for the kill. While more subtle, this issue is perhaps even more critical in solitary pursuits such as writing, painting, scholarly thinking, or learning. In the absence of continual external reinforcement, we must be our own monitor. And quality of presence is often the best gauge. We cannot expect to touch excellence if going through the motions is the norm of our lives. On the other hand, if deep, fluid presence becomes second nature, then life, art, and learning take on a richness that will continually surprise and delight. Those who excel are those who maximize each moment's creative potential. For these masters of living, presence to the day-to-day learning process is akin to that purity of focus others dream of achieving in rare climatic moments when everything is on the line. The secret is that everything is always on the line. The more present we are at practice, the more present we will be in competition, in the boardroom, at the exam, the operating table, the big stage. If we have any hope of attaining excellence, let alone of showing what we've got under pressure, we have to be prepared by a lifestyle of reinforcement. Presence must be like breathing.